Chapter 12. By the time Sunday evening rolls around, I am no longer thinking about Mr. Kellerman. Truth be told, by the time I am out the door of Awkworth and Ames on Friday, I am no longer thinking about Mr. Kellerman. I am too caught up in my own mixed-up life to worry about his. Although I do have a moment watching the news with my dad Friday night when I swear the anchor guy says to the anchor woman, "Well, Jenny, pretty shocking news from upstate New York today. Seems a clothing salesman in the little town of Paintbrush Falls has been revealed to be a mafia godfather." Of course, what he's actually saying turns out to have nothing to do with upstate New York, or a small-town clothing salesman, or even organized crime, which just shows what an overworked imagination combined with a pathetic need for excitement does to the brain. Anyway, by Sunday evening, what I am thinking about is Kelsey Scoggins. I go so far as to call Skeezy on Saturday and ask him what he knows about love. "Not you too," he gives back, although when I prod him for an explanation, he zips his lips and goes, "All I know about love is that it's a 4-letter word." "Why so cynical?" I ask. Skeezy gives his bubblegum a pop on the other end. "Oh gee, I don't know. Could it have something to do with my dad splitting 2 years ago and my mom still cursing him out every chance she gets and my little sisters still crying themselves to sleep at night? Let me think about it. Yeah, time's up. That's it." Me. "Lots of people get divorced, Skeezy." Skeezy. "And your point is?" Me. "My point is it doesn't have to turn you into a cynic." Skeezy. "Says you. Why sit on everybody's brain all of a sudden anyways?" Me. "We're in 7th grade. Our hormones are kicking in." Skeezy. "So, who's kicking your hormones in, Bobsters? As if I didn't know." Me. "Who told you?" Skeezy. "I got eyes, man." Me. "You're not even in my art class. You've never even seen me talking to Kelsey." Skeezy. "Kelsey? I thought you were talking about Joe's Aunt Pam." The sound Skeezy doesn't hear is me blushing. Me. "I guess it's kind of both." Skeezy. In the words of Joe Bunch, oi. On Sunday night, it's Skeezy and me, Dushan and Joe and Kelsey, and the magnolia-scented Pam, down in Joe's basement with poster board and markers everywhere. One whiff of Pam, and I'm praying for ventilation. Joe's parents are home, along with his brother Jeff, but they're not in the way. Jeff is up in his room on his computer, which is pretty much where he lives, and Joe's parents come in and out only every so often to make sure we're taken care of in the refreshments department. "Don't want to have any starving artists," Joe's father cracks at one point, and we all laugh up a storm like it's Dad Appreciation Month. Joe has cool parents. There's no two ways about it. Joe says that it is impossible to hate them at a time in life when hating your parents starts to feel like a requirement. When Pam split up with her boyfriend a few years back and was feeling all messed up and sorry for herself, she called her sister, who was Joe's mom, and was told, "Get on the next train out of New York and come stay with us for as long as you need." It's been 2 years now, and Pam has said more than once that Joe's mom and dad saved her life. Joe says the same thing about Pam. He calls her his fairy godmother because she showed up at just the moment in his life when he needed somebody to let him know that it was okay to be himself. Pam always tells him, "You didn't need me. You had your parents. You would have been just fine." I agree with Pam, but Joe doesn't buy it. He insists that if his aunt hadn't come along when she did, by now he would be calling other guys dude and pretending to like football and hating himself inside. I say that's just Joe being dramatic, but I never say it to him. Meanwhile, Addie is going on and on about the Freedom Party and how we have to have posters that really stand out and how we need a symbol because the Republicans have the elephant and the Democrats have the donkey. It turns out that Heather O'Malley said no to being on the Freedom Party ticket. After getting turned down by every other minority student she could think of, except Tawny, who she didn't ask, Addie begged Skeezy, and Skeezy, to her surprise, said yes. "Man, it was pitiful," Skeezy tells me. "The girl was desperate. What could I do?" Besides, there's not a chance we're going to win, so it's not like I have to worry about actually doing anything. Although, there is the factor of public humiliation up until the elections, but hey, I'm used to that. Not the best reason to run for office, but I am willing to bet there have been worse. Anyway, when I see Skeezy and Addie with their heads together at one point during the evening, I find it kind of strange, but assume it has to do with the campaign. I am wrong, as I will find out later. The way it goes with posters is this. Addie and Dushan are working together. Joe and Kelsey are working together. And Pam and I are working together. Which explains why, for a period of time previously considered humanly impossible, I maintain my life force without the benefit of breathing. I am actually relieved not to be working with Kelsey, because then I would have had to deal with not breathing and coming up with something to say. Kelsey is the quietest person I have ever met. With Joe, it doesn't matter. He does all the talking. Pam is also chatting away while we work. I figure it must run in the family. Telling me about all these paintings she's just finished, and how this friend of hers is trying to get her a job at a gallery in New York City. And, as if transitions had never been invented, how great it is that we are all doing this, meaning the Freedom Party, and I just keep going, uh-huh, to everything she says, and clamping my arms to my sides so I don't drip sweat on fresh marker. You may have noticed that I have not mentioned what the Skis is doing. That is because he is not working on the posters. He has taken it upon himself as secretary of the Freedom Party to lie around on the sofa reading People magazines. Before we can start on the posters, however, we have to choose a symbol and a slogan. These are the ones we vote on. Freedom for one, freedom for all. Dolphin. Kelsey. Freedom rocks. Guitar. Skeezy. Be strong, be cool, let freedom rule. Madonna. Joe. Fly like a bird, let freedom be heard. Dove. Addie. Dushan and I do not make any suggestions except for Dushan's Down with Slavery, Watermelon, which nobody takes seriously, including Dushan. I'm learning he has a wicked sense of humor and think this is an admirable trait. Joe and Skeezy agree, but Addie is not so sure, and her lips get a little puckery when she talks about it. Anyway, Kelsey's idea wins, and we spend the next hour copying pictures of dolphins out of wildlife magazines and writing, Freedom for one, freedom for all. Vote for the Freedom Party and your voice will be heard. Our candidates care. President, Dushan Carter. Vice President, Addie Carl. Treasurer, Bobby Goodspeed. Secretary, Skeezy Tukas. Isn't it time for a change? We are all congratulating ourselves on how brilliant we are, and how Brittany and the Republicans and Drew and the Democrats don't stand a chance against us. Not that any of us except Addie believes this, but it's easy to get caught up in campaign fever. When Joe's mom comes in and tells Addie her mom has just called and she needs to get home. I, personally, am glad, because I do not think I can stand being so near to Pam any longer, what with her giving off the scent of magnolias the way she does. Being so up close and personal with Pam, I have forgotten to think about Kelsey for whole minutes at a time. And now I notice out of the corner of my oculi that Joe is still chatting up a regular storm with her, and she is listening with both her ears and laughing in a quiet but semi-hysterical sort of way. And when her dad arrives and she's saying her goodbyes, she gives Joe the same now you see it, now you don't smile that she gave me just last week. And this gets me to wondering, but I'm not entirely sure what it is I am wondering about.